You know, I just finished up a safety meeting here at work, and that's where, like, once a month, myself and a representative from every part of our company gets together and we talk about, safety concerns and go over things that we're doing to mitigate different risks and talk about different incident reports, of people hurting themselves and all that. And it started me thinking about the whole idea of taking risks, right? Because that's what causes people to get injured most of the time is they took a risk. I mean, sometimes you have random stuff like Susie, twisted her ankle in a gopher hole, which, believe it or not, that happens fairly often. But I'm talking about taking other risks. I'm talking about throwing yourself out there. I'm talking about, the idea that living your life inside of a risk-free box is not the way to go. I spent many years riding a motorcycle, and just getting on it was a risk. I even did really dumb, risky things on that motorcycle. But I thought about the risk before I did it. I tried to calculate the risk before I went about doing the thing that was so risky. And then I think to myself, Ryan, when was the last time you took a risk? When was the last time you really just threw caution to the wind and got crazy and did something that scared the living snot out of you? Something that had high risk, high reward. When was the last time? It's a hard one to answer right there, because, well, I don't really remember the last time I took a big risk. What about you? When was the last time you took a big risk? Maybe it was getting a new job. Maybe it was asking somebody out on the first date. Maybe you've been dating for a long time and all of a sudden you got really risky and decided to propose. See, life is really boring when we don't take risks. Life gets really mundane and sad, and there's just no joy, man. There's just no joy without the risk. All right, look, I know that I said taking a risk can be fun, which it most definitely can, but it can also be absolutely terrifying. Taking risks is scary, right? I mean, let's talk about the father of faith. Let's talk about Abraham. Back when he was Abram. Homeboy was 75 years old. His life was set. His life was good. He had everything he needed. And God's like, hey, man, let's go for a walk. Well, where are we going, God? You're going to go that way. Well, what's that way? Oh, I'll let you know when you get there. I mean, that's a huge risk to pack up everything that you have and go away from everything that you've known at that age. And let alone, that was risky. But imagine trying to convince your wife that that's what you need to do. You ever think about that risk? You ever think about trying to convince your wife, like, hey, honey, we're just going to pack up everything and we're just going to go east or west. We're just going to go west. Well, where are we going? Well, I don't know. God will tell me when to stop. That's a huge risk. That is a huge risk, and that wasn't the only risk that Abram took. What about when God sent an angel to tell him, look, you're going to have a child, or sent an angel to tell Sarai, you're going to have a child this time next year, and she laughed. Isn't that a risk to believe God at that point? What about the Apostle Paul? That dude He took lots of risks. I mean, look at going into the city of Ephesus to plant a church. Ephesus didn't worship God. Ephesus didn't even know who God was. Ephesus was all about divination and worshiping sexual gods, right? Like, so, I mean, come on. Taking a risk can be real fun, but it can also be darn right scary. Trusting God is a risk. It always has been, and it always will be. But some of the most fun you can have, and some of the most terrifying moments you can have, is simply just trusting in God.